To say that I'm obsessed with personal finance is an understatement, but I've struggled to find someone I can relate to who can provide sound money advice, partly because in generations past, my culture has frowned upon these types of discussions. The Check Your Money podcast was created in my quest to find a space of support and network of people just like me that want to grow financially. I'm excited to share ways you can improve your current and future financial health, set and meet money goals, and even plan for retirement in this ever-changing economy. I hope that by the end of this episode, you'll say to yourself at least once, I need to check my money today. Who do you think you are? This phrase can sound tacky, and it's a common negative affirmation for most. No matter how much you think you know, or actually do know, it still doesn't feel good enough. It has to do with self-confidence, and the lack of it can hold you back financially. I hope you stay with me while I explore this phenomenon that I can admit has and continues to hold me back. I think many can relate, which is why I really wanted to explore this. As a matter of fact, Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor, Serena Williams, and Tom Hanks, just to name a few, have all admitted to struggling at one point with imposter syndrome. Now I'm going to start calling it IS just so it flows off my tongue a little better. So IS, it's a term that was coined back in 1978 by psychologists Pauline Clance and Suzanne Imes. Basically, if you experience feelings of failure, despite obvious evidence of accomplishments, you've got this, right? It was originally identified among high-achieving women, but of course, anyone can experience this. It's that feeling of not feeling smart enough. You just feel like you're not smart enough. You're terrified of making mistakes, and you worry about being exposed as a fraud, despite where you are in your career or level of expertise. And while it doesn't discriminate, research does indicate that IS actually has a deep impact on minority groups, due in part to a lack of representation, which can make minorities feel like outsiders. And what it does is it robs you of your motivation. Because I bet some of you are sitting on a really good idea for a career or a side hustle that you're not executing because you doubt yourself. You're afraid of money and your passions, and it's holding you back financially. Money is not bad, it's a tool, and you deserve to feel financially comfortable. Even though you hear so much about debt and living paycheck to paycheck, it doesn't have to be your norm. You can face and fix your issues, and there's no good reason why you don't deserve to. I bet there's at least one thing you can offer the world that will help someone in some way. But if you don't feel truly good enough, you'll never share it. And as long as you let these feelings and thoughts lead you, you'll always find it impossible to make any positive changes. And it turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. You don't think it'll ever happen? So guess what? It'll never happen. And it's not because it can't actually happen. It's just that you don't take the necessary steps to make it. Life doesn't happen to you. You actually have to create it. And in order to do that, you have to work against this financial imposter syndrome. So I've been throwing the term around a little bit, but let's see if you can relate. There's a few subgroups, and I'm sure you're going to fit into one or more of these because I know I did. So you've got the perfectionist. They have a high expectation for themselves that even small mistakes will make them feel like a failure. The superwoman, superman. They put in longer hours, never take days off, and must succeed in all aspects of life in order to prove they're the real deal. The natural genius. They are used to things coming easily, so when something is too hard or doesn't get mastered in the first try, they feel ashamed and self-doubt. The soloist. They don't like to ask for help, so when they do, they feel like a failure or a fraud. The expert. They continuously seek out certifications or training because they feel they will never know enough to be truly qualified. So did any of these sound familiar to you? I feel like I fall into both the soloist and the expert in money and the soloist in my personal life. That's a whole other discussion that I think being a mom has a lot to do with it. But don't want to digress there. All right, so the expert. What ends up happening is that you feel the need to over prepare or just procrastinate on tasks and goals altogether. How many of you are sitting on an idea that you know has the potential to be successful, but you think, I just need to make it better somehow? You're constantly on a mission to prove you deserve to be where you are, which can be exhausting and stressful. I don't like the name. I don't like the logo. I have to create a social media presence first, or I have to update the website or create the website. I have to update my LinkedIn. I had a good friend once tell me not to make perfect the enemy of good enough, or I think that's what he said. But my point is that I actually had the check your money idea over a year ago. I participated in Entrepreneur Masterclass. I followed tons of groups on Facebook, and then I decided I should wait until I completed my financial planning degree. So I did that. And I still sat on it. Then I decided to launch this particular podcast after I passed the accredited financial counselor exam. But then COVID happened and the testing center was closed. And I started to realize that I could have the entire alphabet after my name and I still wouldn't feel good enough. That's my own personal hangup, but I know I'm not alone. So I was finally able to take the exam, which I did pass last week, as a matter of fact, but there's no difference in my knowledge prior to or immediately afterwards. And the reason I'm sharing this is because I know I'm not alone. And this feeling of being an imposter, I know has held me back financially and otherwise. Like, who am I to be sharing investment advice? But to be honest, somehow after I learned a little bit about investing, I had previously a 5% return on my IRA. I was able to get a 21% return on that. And this is pre-COVID, okay? But still, I think maybe it's just a fluke. Social media has a lot to do with why a lot of us feel like imposters. How does it play into it? Well, I see such pretty Instagram pages and I think, ooh, they all use pastel colors. How pretty. Or pretty patterns. Or great bios. Like, oh, these little emojis are so cute. Or perfect pictures. Like, listen, I personally have a friend who lives this fancy life, right? Or at least it looks like it. I finally hit her on Facebook because I felt like shit every time I saw another one of her fancy ass candles from France and cheese and all this other nonsense. Just got tired of looking at it. Like, does nothing bad happen to you? I mean, not that I want something bad to happen to you, but like, it just makes me feel like there's this perfection that I need to seek, right? So here's the thing, when you only show your fancy stuff or your best moments, you're doing exactly what you've set out to do, which is make everyone feel like you've got this amazing life and they should follow you. You're not showing us your migraines or the bags under your eyes or that you blew whatever amount of money on a slot machine or that your husband can be a jerk sometimes. I don't know that because all you post is this amazing stuff about your husband. Like, are you even real? And how this makes me feel is my issue, right? Of course. But when you only showcase your best moments, it feeds into those feelings. And I know I'm not alone. Again, my problem to deal with. And the way I deal with it is either by hiding you, sorry, not sorry, or by taking what I need from you. I'll read through your, oh, I did all these amazing things and grab the key point that might help me and scroll along. Now, take what you see there with a grain of salt. Now, like, I don't know exactly know what that means, but I know like they say it in times like this, but basically be careful with influencers, guys. It's not always what it seems. You never know what might be going on behind the scenes in somebody's life. So what can you do about this? And what does it have to do with checking your money? I don't know if you've heard about Anchor, but it is seriously the easiest way to make a podcast. The very best part about it is that it's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone, your computer, or your tablet. I was able to easily set up my podcast right from my iPad. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it could be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and many more. And last but not least, you can actually make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. And because you're able to get sponsors right from your site, it just makes it so much easier. So it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place, which makes it so easy for anyone to use. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. All right, so how can you check your money when you have imposter syndrome? First and foremost, you acknowledge that you've got this going on. Let's be real. And honestly, sometimes this can be easier said than done. I get it. Meaning, in my logical moments, I know I've got this. But in my weaker moments, this is where I let these feelings get a hold of me. And it scares me enough not to take that step. You need to know your worth. If you do let this get a good hold of you, it can affect your career or your earning potential. You may think you're not good enough for that promotion, or know exactly what you should be asking for in salary or raise, or even apply for a particular job because you don't think you're qualified. If you're an over-preparer like me, use that to your advantage. Arm yourself with the knowledge you need to make more money. How can you do that? All right. So if you're applying to a new position or you're for a promotion, do your research. The most popular site is salary.com. It shows many positions in lots of fields and contains free salary information. It also provides cost of living calculators as well as job listings. Glassdoor.com, it's pretty interesting, but just be careful with this one. The site provides company reviews and employee feedback in addition to the salary research you can perform. I say be careful because reviews can be pretty subjective. And someone always got something to say. If you've ever hosted an event of some sort, you'll know someone's always going to complain about one aspect or another. But the site also provides some common interview questions so it can help you prepare for an interview. Payscale.com. It's unique in that it offers a salary report based on experience and education. So this is a good site to find out what you can expect to earn with your particular major. So it's good for like college graduates and stuff, or somebody looking to go back to school. A few other sites that are pretty good to check are Indeed, Salary List, Salary Expert, and also the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And so now that's a lot of it is what it is. But if you don't like what it is, you can explore other options. What I mean by that is if the title you have in mind isn't in the salary range you're looking for, be a little flexible in this. If your experience is in sales, but in a certain field, be open to another field. If you're a good salesperson by nature, you should be able to sell me on buying a pen when I already have a pack. If you're at a point in your life when you don't need to stay put, then consider not staying put. The ability to relocate is something not everyone has, and the cost of living could be dramatically different from state to state. If there's a certificate or some sort of training that could bring you to the next level, do it. If a $10,000 certificate or boot camp will help you earn an additional $10,000 per year, then you've got your return on your investment. This goes for maybe a software program training or maybe learning an additional, foreign language, as well as accreditations. So, the right employer will find this valuable and will pay you for having it. So, just kind of do the math on it. See if that, again, like that $10,000 is worth making $10,000 additional for the rest of your life. When you're negotiating, have a range in mind and offer your high. If your low is what they're willing to pay, then you've limited yourself. If money's not really negotiable, time or some kind of other benefit, like maybe stock options or like full medical or something like that, you might be able to get that. Again, Being prepared is the key to doing this the best way. Keep a diary or a journal, whatever you want to call it, every time you get kudos at work. And even if no one notices, still document these accomplishments. Did you turn a client around? Did you provide a suggestion or some sort of efficiency recommendation or process improvement that resulted in revenue or help save time on a task? This is great for when it comes to do your review, as well as it can help with salary increases because it can serve as evidence to make your case. This is also a great way to help you update your resume. Because if you're like me, you don't remember sometimes, what you've done or something like that. And again, just writing it down and keeping track of it will help you to be able to update that. Another great thing you can do is surround yourself with mentors that uplift and challenge you. I cannot stress this enough. If you're keeping shitty company, that's really the only way I could put it, you're just going to feel like shit. And when you got something in mind that your feeling in your gut can grow, just do it. If you're dealing with negative people, they're only going to poke holes in what you've got going on. So you don't even have to know these people, the people that you're going to choose as your mentor. Seriously, pick someone you feel you can connect with. You can find these people on social media, like maybe a career coach or some kind of coach or someone in your field that looks like they're doing exactly what you'd like to be doing. But again, like I talked about before, let me caution you. So, social media, again, is not what it seems. So, please be careful not to idolize. It can be very easy to let this one be a double edged sword. I know I follow, like I said before, certain people who I think are amazing, and I use them as inspiration. Sometimes I'll think, ugh, I'll never get to where they are. Then they go and post a vulnerable moment where they said, oh, I was going through such a hard time and I didn't let it show. Well, that's great. But here I am thinking your life is always amazing and I let it make me feel like crap. Now to come to find out you're human, but you only told me after the fact. This information would have been helpful to me yesterday. Like I said in The Wedding Singer. I don't know, I like that movie. um, when you're using social media influencers as mentors, keep in mind that you might be looking at their chapter 14 and you're at chapter 2. We all have to start somewhere. The point is, just start. And at some point, your real confidence will kick in. This one might cause a stir in you, but be open to having conversations about your financial situation. You might be surprised to know that your close friends are doing well. And you might realize that you can learn from them. Or you can share what works for you and help them in the process. Honestly, you might consider yourself a fraud until you talk to someone and see that you're actually doing better than you thought. I recently had a night in with some friends, and as usual, the women ended up in the kitchen. One of the guys came in and I swear looked really confused because we were sharing stock tips and real estate investment strategies. I was like, "What? Did you expect to walk into a convo about our flow? Like, what's the problem?" We seriously snuck off to the kitchen to discuss how to grow financially. Like, don't forget to send me that link, like seriously, it's what we were doing. Don't ignore your money because you feel like an imposter. You are not an imposter. Start small. Maybe automate your savings. Unlink your credit cards so it's not easy to click buy now. Automate your bills according to your pay schedule if you can. So things are getting paid on time and you're not getting late fees. Only spend cash. These are, some ways of doing this. And a big one, and I've done this one myself and it hurt. Unsubscribed from the promotional emails from your favorite stores. Believe me, like I just said, this one is tough. But really, you can live without all the sale reminders and only buy stuff when you actually needing it. I'm not shooting off stuff that's just like recommended and that I've read, like, oh, you should do this, or you should do that. I really did unsubscribe from everything. And I've put all my cards in a safe, all my credit cards. Every time I want to buy something on credit, I have to get the card out of the safe. And that helps me think twice about it and decide whether I actually need what it is I'm about to go get out, get up and get. You are not alone in this. I'm going to say that one more time so you can hear it. You are not alone in this. That's the point I'm trying to make. Your fear doesn't have to keep you from feeling like you can accomplish something. Don't let it hold you back. You deserve financial security. You are worthy of financial freedom. You are capable of saving money. You're not an imposter. You're capable of sticking to a budget. You can do this. Check your knowledge. If you've been interested in investing in real estate, like flipping or maybe rental properties, check out auction.com. They have foreclosure homes that you can bid on. You can pay a fee to participate, and you work with the realtor assigned to the property. Obviously, do your homework by checking comps, which are properties in the area that have recently sold. Not everything's going to be a good deal, of course, but I know this is an area of interest for me, and I never knew until this past week that the site even existed. I'm not endorsing it. I'm simply saying check it out if it's something you've been interested in and didn't really know where to go to find these kind of listings. I want to thank you so much for listening. I hope that I've inspired and motivated you and convinced you that you are not an imposter and you are not a fraud. My goal is that at some point during this episode, you have said to yourself at least once, I need to check my money today. You can find me on Instagram at checkyourmoney_podcast and Facebook at checkyourmoney. I'm going to go bi-weekly, guys, because I really do spend a lot of time putting this content for you together. So I really do hope that you subscribe and that you'll check me out every other Monday. Hasta la próxima. Till next time. Thanks again for listening to the Check Your Money podcast. I would love to hear from you. You can email me feedback at norma@checkyourmoney.today. And remember to subscribe, follow, and rate at Apple or Google Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Also, if you can, please leave a review if you're enjoying this podcast. It's the easiest way to help it grow and be able to help continue to motivate and inspire others. The information provided in the Check Your Money podcast, associated social media accounts, and website is intended solely for the personal, non-commercial use of the user who accepts full responsibility of its use. While we have taken every precaution to ensure that the content of the aforementioned is both current and accurate, errors can occur. We accept no responsibility or liability for any errors or omissions in the content. The information provided by Check Your Money and its affiliated entities is general in nature, provided for educational purposes only, and should not be considered to be legal, tax, accounting, or investing advice. In all cases, you should consult with professional advisors familiar with your personal factual situation for advice concerning specific matters before making any decisions.